Assalamu alaikum. Kaifa halukum. Mahaban Nasassinis. Welcome, my new subscribers. My name is Elliot Miller, and I would like to give a special thanks to those that are watching my channel, those that have been liking my videos and sharing them. I wholeheartedly appreciate you all for that. Excuse my tardiness. I wanted to make sure that I went and said my Salah prayers. I think that was more important than me trying to do this video. I think some people forget that in order for us to wake up and do work and keep going at life and trying to accomplish things or be successful, it all comes from Allah's grace and mercy. So, as I said, I believe that was more important. I've noticed some of you that have been watching my videos, or at least like my videos, have been setting your notifications to on. So when I saw that, I was like, oh, shoot, I didn't, when I was looking at the analytics and I saw that, I was like, wow, that's nice. I said, I was a bit surprised, but thank you for that. So I want to get right into the topic. Today's broadcast was inspired by a young lady. I asked her, why does she post sexy, provocative photos online? And her response was, well, I asked this question because, as I stated in my previous videos, I wanted to try to understand why the thought process of women, when they post provocative photos showing their, their body parts, right? They're revealing, private parts. And I just wanted to try to understand that. And even though one thing that I, always keep in mind is like, you kind of will waste your time as a man if you continue to try to figure out why women do things. You might as well just go on about. But I like to, anybody, I would say, I like to try to figure out why people do what they do. So there's, because I just want to understand the thought process when they do things. How did they come up with the decision to do this particular act or thing? So the young lady, she replied, they may indeed be provocative, and that honestly, she doesn't think about anyone else when she puts her photos online. It's more of her seeing herself as feminine. So she asked me, what is femininity to you? Is it about appearance, behavior, or something deeper? The definition for feminine refers to characteristics of behaviors, roles of being soft, nurturing, emotional, and communication. The young lady that asked me this question later agreed with me that I believe it's more of behavior. I told her I know she wants to express herself, but she needs to express herself when posting pictures of herself. She needs to do it in a respectful manner. If she were looking to date someone or be in a relationship or marriage, in love as in relationship, there should always be room for respect. In Western societies, UK, US, Canada, Eastern Europe, Latin America, men should make sure that they prioritize women, that these women will respect their boundaries and expectations, especially posting things online. So, what I want to go into is getting back to the definition of femininity, where it says being soft, nurturing, emotional, and communication, and characteristic behaviors. So when I think about behavior, just as I told the young lady, I said, for me, it's more about behavior. A woman should be soft, not argumentative, not nor opinionated. You don't want a woman that doesn't listen to you. So this is for the men out there that watch this. But I imagine this particular video could help some women watching my videos, because I see more and more women coming on to this particular channel and find it interesting. So thank you all, you ladies, for that. You don't want a woman who has disdain towards men because of her past experiences with men. A woman who uses vulgar and foul language, especially out in public, but I don't think I would prefer a woman just everyday, uh, saying vulgar things, using curse words. It just turned off for me. Even for me to be in the company, I remember one of my colleagues that I used to work with, and it seemed as if I was in the company of someone that, keep cursing and so and so, it eventually it rubbed off on me. And I tend to think when people say you are the average of the 5 people you keep around you, so you could use that in a way of success, or you could use that in a way of talking about somebody's moral values, someone's character, that stuff. You'll be doing the same things as the average of your the people you keep around you. Maybe that's a law of average thing, but I want to make sure I'm using that in the correct sentence, because I need to look at that, revisit the definition of the law of averages. But I understand what it means, so it probably goes with it. So that is behavior. Now let's talk about nurturing. Feminine women are nurturing. They are able to teach and raise mentally, emotionally stable children. You don't want a more masculine leaning woman. When I was in college, I realized the difference between masculine and feminine a little bit more. Well, even as I age, I tend to still learn more about the masculine and the feminine sexes. And one thing that I noticed in my, this was probably in my early 20s, when I'm in early teens, or probably my early teens, going to college, I noticed that, so I was taking this probability and statistic course. And one thing that I noticed, I had this male professor, and the first 2 exams that he gave, I failed horribly. Possibly, I think I made probably like a 30 or 40 something on that first test. The second test wasn't much better. It was a little better, but still failed. I probably had like a 50 or 60 something on the second exam. And I was like, why can't I get this, grasp this stuff? I'm usually good at math. So, funny story. So now I'm sitting down one day ready to go into this particular math class. And so the hallway, I'll give you a scene. So the hallway is basically like we're waiting to go in class, and you have a lot of students ready to go in there, go in their class. And this is like I think this was my 6 p.m. class, and everybody's waiting to go in their classrooms or whatever, and everyone's out in the hall. And there's a young lady that comes up off the elevator, and everybody just talking loud and whatever, just chatty, about to go in the classrooms. And this nice, beautiful girl, I'm going to talk about women. It's just like one thing I say is like what I like to do is we're going to talk about women. We're going to talk about success and trying to create financial independence. And we're going to talk about helping people. And that's just me. So this young lady, she gets off the elevator and she starts walking towards her class, past everyone. And the whole entire hallway where we're at in this area got silent when she walked past. She was beautiful, and she dressed modest. She didn't have on anything revealing or anything, but she was dressed modest, but she's a very beautiful girl. And so now she's, going to her class, whatever. And I'm like, man, that's a good looking girl. So as the probably a couple weeks went by, and I kept seeing her, in class. So this was like the beginning of like the first couple weeks of class, and then all of a sudden I started seeing her. I was like, wow, okay. So I still wasn't doing good. I wasn't even doing good on my quizzes or anything. So I was like, you know what? I said, I'm gonna try to get this young lady's phone number. So now I'm like, you know what? I said, I don't see myself doing so good in this class. Let me go here. So come to find out, I found out that she was probably 2 or 3 math levels below me. So now I'm going to her class, her math class, helping her, and her professor, for some reason, allowed me to stay there and help her, and she started doing good. So maybe a couple days go by, and she was like, wow, you're very, intelligent. And she gives me her phone number. See, this is why I say, guys, coming up, you hear stories of women wanting the bad boys and the guys that always getting in trouble and things like that. But when I got to my college years, I realized I was like, no, I was like, women, they like intelligent guys, So once I noticed I was in my studies and trying to learn, and I always had like women wanting to learn or wanting help from me with their studies, or at least wanting to not just wanting help and asking me questions pertaining to class. I mean, we would talk about other things, but I noticed that we would even get together to study, outside of college. So back to the math class, noticing the difference between masculine and feminine in this process. So I still wasn't doing good, so I kept going to the young ladies' class. Well, one thing, a light bulb came on. Once I withdrew from this class, I had to take the class again, this probability and statistics class again for the next semester. So now I'm taking this class again, and I'm like, oh my God, how am I going to do, and whatever. And I choose a female this particular time. So now I choose a female professor, And I saw the difference from the way how this was a part of nurturing to where I got to see the difference of how the male professor taught compared to the female. So my male professor, I can't even remember his name, but one thing that I noticed, and even taking a couple other male professors, it was like, hey, you need to know this. I want you to solve this math equation, and I want it in this order. Well, when I took Ms. Simkovich, the female professor, uh, her thing was, I don't care how you complete the math equation, I just want the answer. And she would also give multiple ways of solving the math equations. Not only that, I noticed that when Ms. Timkovich would teach, there were times to where, let's say if you were a student and you weren't grasping the concept of solving a math problem. Well, Ms. Simkovich, we would stay on that one problem for however long. She would say, we're not moving on until this individual understands how to solve this math problem. And she doesn't care if we move the lessons further. You know, she didn't care if she was behind. She was like, okay, we'll just catch up. And she will just take certain math equations or lessons out of the tests, being that we didn't go over it. And she was like, because she wants this person to be able to solve the math problem and be able to be prepared for the exam. And I was like, wow, I said, that's the difference. And the other thing that I noticed when we talk about women in nurturing, I was supposed to be doing good about and so I've been practicing all week. Let's see me say it again. That's tough because it's like us is authentic. It's authentic, you know, but of course you want to say less of it. So working on it, work in progress. Back to the thing about Ms. Simkovich. So this is when I saw the nurturing of her wanting to make sure that the student learn versus the male professor saying, hey, you need to do this. I want it like this, these steps. And I was like, okay. And funny enough, earlier today, as I'm, you know, just going over these notes that I made and trying to, you know, think about ways I can present this and talk about this. And I went and looked up Ms. Simkovich's name online, and her rating for teaching math studies is like a 4.9 out of 5. And I was like, you know what? That was one of the best math teachers I had. I did so well with that probability and statistics class. Even my friends at the time, or associates, were so surprised because it was so difficult learning this probability and statistics class. And we would do study groups, you know, for me to even try to do well in this class, even after I, you know, did horrible with the math professor. And this is while I'm in I had a study group, even while I was in taking it with the male professor. And I ended up making a 98 average, passing the class with a 98 average with the female teacher, but I was failing with the male teacher. And I was like, this is crazy. And so what I did for a couple more, I took that math teacher after primary statistics. I took her for pre-calculus. I took her for, I believe, 2 algebra courses. So I took her like for 3 or 4 studies. I think it was 4, but I gotta go back and look at my transcript. But anyways, I was like, wow. So this was I was like, I just because I couldn't miss. I kept doing very well in her class, and I was like, okay, if she's teaching this, I'm just going to go ahead and take it again under her. So this is when I noticed the difference. And to give you a little thing, going back to the girl, because I know some people probably went, well, what happened to the girl? We're giving y'all the story. So the girl that I was helping with her studies, being that she was in a couple levels below me in college, she wasn't even taking college math. So now I'm helping her, but so now she's interested in me, more and more interested in me, asking me, hey, you want to go out? And she was older than me too. She was like, hey, you want to go out? I'm going to the bar with my friend, blah, blah, blah. I'm going bar hopping. I was like, no, I'm good. So it's like on the weekends, she asked me, hey, you want to go out? And I'm like, nah, I got something to do. Or I remember a time I was watching football and she was having a conversation and I just zoned out. And she was like, hey, if you like me, you need to be trying to, listen to me when I talk to you. And I don't know what happened. I was just like, I guess part of it, hold on a second. Where is it? Where is it? Sound. Where is you? 1 second. I have to. Hold on 1 second. Oh my God. Okay, I am back. Let me make sure I got my mic. Okay, so I'm back. It's like the summertime. It's like when the summertime comes, it's like bugs. And I'm thinking like, what in the world? I hate the summertime. Um, that's why I was like, that's why you see me looking, I was like, oh my God. But anyways, so yeah, so back to, so I already mentioned the thing about the young lady, I believe her name was Monique that I was helping. And, eventually I messed that up. But then eventually I remember a couple of years later, she saw me at work and then we had a nice little conversation. But other than that, but yeah. Let's see. Someone came up and was watching the video, but then eventually when I clicked off, they went about their way. Anyways, moving right along. So back to posting provocative photos. Posting provocative photos. And let's go over appearance. As I stated, me and a young lady that asked this question, she was talking about what is it more about behavior or appearance or is it something deeper? Um, I thought of the famous designer Coco Chanel. She says a girl should be two things: classy and fabulous. That was Coco Chanel's favorite quote, famous quote. Uh, but I wanted to do something. Let's see, try something a little new that I don't usually do because I guess I have to get in the habit because it will make the show more interesting. So I want to share a picture of a young lady, and this is a woman that I admire that fits my description of being classy. This is my ideal type of woman. um, this is, how to pronounce her name, is Sade Yousefi. Um, looking at some of these pictures, looking at some of her pictures, it made me want to take a trip to Iran. Now, I remember sometime in, what is it? Possibly, what's she eating here? What is that? Must be a dessert. So I remember sometime in like 2019, 2020, I was following this woman, and I'm not usually on Instagram. I remember I removed myself from social media years ago, but when I think of a woman that dresses modest or conservative, not showing off her body or her backside, turn her backside in her pictures, uh, you know, it's more like she's showing off her beauty, but more of her sense of style in clothing. Compared to some of the women that I see online, it's almost like they're trying to show their body parts. Now, yes, I'm a man, so of course it's like, okay, it's appealing, but if you are a young lady that is trying to get married, and looking at this young lady profile, I want to say fair use. But when I think of a woman in my head to wear like uh, the type that I'm attracted to in clothing now, uh, the other thing is, let's see, she some nice, she has some beautiful pictures. Pretty girl. And it's funny that she's actually from Iran. And I started thinking about um, my female friend that's Iran, the model that I've mentioned in a couple of um, my last videos, and it just made me it made me laugh when I thought about it because this young lady here is from Iran as well. I was like, man, I might have to take a train and go to Iran or a flight, something. If they got good looking women out there like this, look at that. That's cute as a button, isn't it? Now, someone say, oh, you a Muslim man and you think, uh, I'm not perfect and I'm not doing anything harm. It's just admiring beauty. She in here. Like I said, I'm not on Instagram much, but if I always thought of a woman that dressed classy and was nice, good Lord have mercy, mashallah. And that's what I said earlier today because I was looking up trying to say, mashallah. You're talking about gorgeous. Um, so look at that. That's beauty. Uh, no toxins, no plastics, great for the environment. So in comparison, I had to think about like the difference when you go online and you see women like trying to, uh, like in most of their photos, they're showing pictures of their chests or they're turning. Let me see if I can go back. Oh, shoot. I don't know if I added the photo. Wait a second. Let me see. I think I messed up. Let me show y'all this young lady so y'all can see. Look at that. It's like I said, no plastic, no toxins, great for the environment. MashaAllah. Beautiful girl. So what I was saying, because I forgot to add to the stage, um, you know, when you see photos of a woman, this is just like I said, this is my ideal type of women in my thought in my head. And it's like I said, when I was online a couple of years ago, which I'm not active on Instagram, I just share my content and I go from there. But compared to a lot of women that you see to where it's almost like they're showing off their body parts and have their, it's basically like they're trying to um, solicit their body or something. Look at that. Beautiful. And when I think about a woman that's classy or fabulous, like I always think of this young lady. Well, this woman ain't young. She's in her 40s, so well, she should be close to 40. I think the last time I checked, like a week ago or something, when I was trying to put this together. And one thing that I noticed was that even though this woman is close to 40, just like I said, gentlemen, she's feminine, submissive, cooperative, and we always go back to the four criteria for selecting, especially if you're a Muslim man. Uh, she needs to be intelligent, pious, religious. She needs to have wealth, meaning she could not necessarily money, but maybe she could teach you things about the Quran and teach you more things. And she has to be beautiful. And at least that's my criteria. But I mean, I don't think that's a pretty bad criteria to have. I think that could work well for most men. Now, in comparison with my friend, I remember sometime maybe a year and a half ago or something, we were in Paris. Look at that, gorgeous. We were in Paris, and so me and my friend, we were in Paris, and it was so funny when I saw this picture because my friend Meryl, look almost similar somewhat when she gets beautiful, beautified or whatever. So I remember I was in Paris and my friend Meryl, we were sitting down at this restaurant. And for some reason, this restaurant, it was like they open up like at like 11 or something, and they close at like 4 or 5 o'clock. And I was like, this is crazy. I'm like, how are you expecting to make any money? But I was like, it's whatever. So we're sitting down, and Meryl, we're having tea, because most Muslims like to drink tea. I don't see many drinking coffee too much, but mostly tea. We like to have tea. Even after, especially Turkey got me into it to where after every meal we have chai, tea. So Meryl and I are having tea, and so this lady to the left of me, it was just us, two parties, just us, and there's a gentleman, a woman, and another young lady, which happened to end up being husband and wife and their daughter that was visiting or something like that. So the lady, me and Meryl having tea, And the lady, she says to this lady, she says she looks over at Meryl and says, "Excuse me, miss." She says, let me get out of this. So the lady, she, oops, I picked the wrong one. What did I do? I am messing up. Okay, now I got it. Now I can think I can pick the right thing. That's the only thing. It's the first time I'm doing sharing screen and stuff. But anyways, now it looks darker. Okay, that'll stay. But anyway, so this lady, so this lady, she's to the left of me, and well, she's there over here at this table, like way over here, like there's nobody here, but some, on the two tables over. So the family is there. So the young lady looks at Meryl and says, "Excuse me, miss, you are so gorgeous. Where are you from?" So my friend Meryl, she says, "Oh, I'm from so and so, and my mom is from here, and my dad is from here." And and so she said, "Okay, what do you do for a living?" She said, "Oh, well, I am a designer. I design my own clothing. I have my own clothing line, and so forth and so forth." So I'm like, when the lady said told me you're gorgeous, I'm like, and I looked at Mira and I was like, "Oh, she is nice." And the reason why it shocked me, because even though Meryl is gorgeous, she didn't really like dress up, like beautify herself all the time when we were out. I mean, she would dress nice, but not in the sense to where it looked like she just come from a photo shoot or something. And this particular day, I'm like, "Dang, she does look nice." I'm like, "My God, that girl is beautiful." So even I had to say it too, but it was thing. But I think the thing that got me was uh, Meryl. She looks nice, but she has like that attitude. So it just threw me off sometimes, because I would say, "Man, that girl can be a little bit masculine at times," and then she'll come and she'll be like, "Oh, I'm sorry, honey. I was just, I know I'm difficult and I shouldn't do that to you, and I know you're nice, and please forgive me." And I'm like, "I'm a tough cookie." But anyways, so that made me think of my friend Miro when I thought of adding this. I just thought of this young lady like sometime in the middle of probably was like Thursday, and I was like, "You know what? Maybe I should incorporate this instead of mention it. Maybe I should put some visual in my videos, and then try to make my videos a little bit more interesting." I know that I might have nice stories or whatever, but I was like, okay, let me try to make it more engaging, and looking at a few of the to give you a visual. So I was like, yeah, so I was like, that is nice. So now let me see. I want to go back. So let's see, because I want y'all to look at a Sade. Ah, let's see. Hmm. Can I do that? Did they let you click off? Now I did that. Let's see. Oh yeah, we look good together. Put that up there like that. Anyways, so what the world? But yeah, so as I'm coming up with this stuff, and it's funny how things start coming together. So I was at the grocery store yesterday, and I was talking to this gentleman, and I went in there to ask about a particular tart. I try to, I like the little tarts at the store, like like even today, like I went and liked the Biscoff with the Biscoff cookie tart, but they didn't have it. So I eventually went back again in the store today to get the fruit tart, um, the little dessert. So I see this gentleman in the store. So we started talking, and next thing you know, we got on the topic of relationships and things like that. And he saw me looking at this uh, uh, video on my phone, and he was like, and it was of Kevin Samuels, rest in peace. So I was like, yeah, I just wanted to start watching more of his videos again because it had me thinking about something that I want to do in my video for the upcoming weeks, inshallah. So the gentleman was happy to see that. So we got on the topic of talking about Kevin Samuels. So, what I told him is that I noticed that there was a difference in the woman's behavior and attitude comparing women in Western cultures, like mostly, I would say not so much in Western cultures, because I've met some nice, kind Latin American women and women from Canada. I think that when I say things about Western civilizations and even UK, I think more of what I'm talking about is the attitude mostly of some. So I would say there are some women in Europe and some women in Latin America that got a great attitude, but I still think that overall, I see women that are in the Middle East, the Middle East, and western parts of Asia. I see that those women, well, may not be Thailand or the Philippines as much, but I mean, I don't know. I've only been over there for about a week, so I can't really uh, give a good observation or view of that. But it's just what they post online and what they do. But like when I was talking to the gentleman, I was saying that I've traveled to multiple countries, and I see a difference of the women, how they dress and carry themselves with respect. And I was mentioning to him, the thing that I noticed was that the attitude of some of the women compared to women in the US was far more appealing. Like a woman coming into a man's life is supposed to uh, bring comfort and peace into a man's life. And that's what I feel being around these women that are in these other countries, like um, in the continent in Africa or in Europe, certain parts in Europe, or going out in the Middle East, Asia, or far parts Asia, even Thailand. I was like, these women are so welcoming, inviting, very friendly, have great attitude. So I was telling him this stuff. So we started, talking about that, and he was like, he needs to, start traveling more and things like that. And I told him I agree, especially for him being a black man or a man of color. So he started telling me, he said, it's funny that I'm talking about it, because he said that he watched a video with Tracy Ellis Ross and talked about how she was on some show with the President Obama's wife, Michelle, and that she doesn't date older men. And the gentleman at the grocery store, he was just telling me, he said, yeah, he said, but we all know what, if this woman is in her 60s and she's saying that she's dating men in their 40s, or, so we know what those men want. Those men aren't going to marry her. And I was like, yeah, I said, and that's the thing. You have a lot of older women that they don't want to date a guy if they're in their 60s. They don't really want to date a guy older because, well, in Tracy Ellis' words, according to the gentleman that I was speaking to at the grocery store, he was saying that she was saying that the older men try to control her in a way. And I said, no, it's not that they try to control her. And even if they did, I said the main thing is she doesn't take instructions from a man. So it's not about control. I mean, women got this thing to where they fight for control in a relationship, but the man is supposed to be the leader, and maybe the women, like when I think about it, it's like, okay, we work together, but that the men are the leaders, the providers. But you have some women that want to date guys that will let them get away with doing whatever they want to do. Like I was talking to this gentleman about this, about the behaviors and the attitude, and I was talking to him and I was letting him know that even my sister, I was talking to my sister a couple of days ago, and she was like, yeah, men's supposed to be the leaders, and blah, blah. I said, yeah. I said, she was like providing and paying the bills. I said, yeah, and that's fine. I said, but one thing, you're going to listen. I said, because it's not that we don't want to date, women in Western civilization in the U.S. and so forth. It's your attitude, So, so the guy said, "Yeah, I agree," because some of them think it's like, we don't want to date this group of women and this and this. And said, no, it's your mindset and your attitude. And I was talking to the gentleman. I said, something? I said, when in parts of Africa, you see women wear the traditional clothing to where they wear the nice hats or the nice flower robes and clothing to cover themselves, to dress modest. You see women that are in the part of the Arab region. These women are wearing niqab or wearing the hijab. You have women in the Middle East being modest, conservative in their dressing, wearing bias, the niqab, and so forth. So, and I said, even in parts of Asia, these women are dressed up nice. It's only in some of the Western civilization that women want to, well, even in Canada is like this too, to where you go out and you see women just wearing a tank top or a, what is it called? Tank top, yoga pants. And I know they call it I forgot what they call it, athletic, like, when someone just wearing athletic gear every day. But I don't really tend to choose that type because, just like I said, this is my type right here. Let me see. How do I get out of this? Okay. So, so yeah. But let me go back to this thing. Yeah. So. Mm-mm-mm. My. But yeah. So I was telling gentlemen, I think that women in Africa, Middle East, Asian, even the women that are in India, you know, they wear their traditional clothing and they're covered up, you know, and they have respect for themselves. Respect is a sign of behavior. It manifests through actions and interactions with others. Respectful behavior involves treating individuals with fairness, courtesy, and empathy, fostering positive relationships and a sense of dignity. It includes listening attentively, valuing the other partner's input, avoiding language or actions that could be perceived as disrespectful or demeaning. And you know, going back to the young lady that asked me this question, what is femininity? Uh, you know, just like I said, that she agreed with me that in doing so and posting these photos and stuff, there needs to be respect. You know, not just for yourselves, but for the person. If you're wanting to date someone, or if you're in a relationship, or if you're a woman in your 30s, especially, and you looking for a man, just like this other young lady, like I went online today, and this other young lady that, you know, she's posting things, this other young lady that I used to look at on here, she's posting things talking about she wants to uh, get married and so forth. And she's wearing all these revealing clothing. And I'm like, okay, how do you talk about you want a, you know, we all know most women want a successful, ambitious man these days. Um, but how could you say, oh, you want to get married, but you want to be free and liberated, sexually liberated, and posting all these provocative photos of yourselves, even if you working out and uh, trying to say, "Oh, I'm getting my body in shape," you know. No, I don't think most successful men would be looking to marry a woman like that. If they did, I don't think that the man has a low self-esteem. Let's just say that. So let me go. Now that I'm on here, let me see what other thing before. My gosh, mashallah. See. So this is the young lady, and I'm gonna go before somebody say he's being a creep. But I'm just, this is one of the young ladies that I admire for a while. I don't think I've ever been in her inbox or nothing like that either. I don't think maybe not. I don't think I've been in her inbox and shot her any message or anything like that. I mean, we can get off here. I just wanted to uh, show you all the young lady that I had been wanting to put in this video. How do I? So, but yeah, so this is, like I said, this is what women need to pay attention to when they post things online. You need to be uh, respectful, not just for the man you want, but to yourselves. I appreciate those that are taking the time to watch my videos, those that are um, liking, sharing my videos. I will also, let's see if I can put it up there. I'll leave my email to the bottom of this for those that want to uh, email me. You can send me a message, uh, send me an email here, and I will, if you have any questions that you would like me to go over regarding relationships, I don't mind talking about politics. I like politics. I kind of consider myself an economist. I like talking about finance, a little bit about politics and relationships. So if anybody has any questions, I will be willing to answer those. Because I think we all should pay attention to what's going on around the world. But yeah, so I will try to, if you send me an email, I will try to respond to them within 48 hours, and hopefully I could make a video out of it to um, give you some value. Um, Thank you again for those that have been supporting me by liking, sharing the videos, and um, watching, especially watching, because that will eventually help me a lot. Uh, so I wholeheartedly appreciate you all for that. I'm trying to see if I have anything else to say. Next week's video is going to be nice. I think I'm going to talk about 50-50 relationships. I think that was nice. I was making this point the other day, talking to my sister about this, and I've noticed even some women in the Muslim community talk about this, to where men are wanting 50-50 relationships. So that's like a little bit of the little, that'd be like a little sneak peek of what I might have in store for next week's topic. Inshallah. Wa shukran jazilan. Ma salam.